we're going to see if we can get some brakes together on the back of the truck here today. So all I've done so far is, other than putting the top pivot portion in, I've just taken and put a little bit of grease on each one of the contact points for the shoe. That's something that I was taught a long time ago by a very, very good tech that I worked as under an apprentice. So this is what it's going to look like assembled here. So I figured I'd show you another thing he taught me. So with drum brakes, you always have two different size shoes. You have a long shoe and a short shoe, right? And what I was always taught is the shortest guy goes to the front of the line. That's how I was taught to remember it. And that is, our primary shoe is going to have a shorter contact patch because it's going to apply first compared to our secondary shoe. So anyway, let's see if we can get some stuff together here. So what GM says to do here in this case is they tell you to put a socket over top of this retaining ring and press it in that way. I never had any luck doing it that way. So the way I've always done it is just two screwdrivers, one on each side. Just like that. And now, the other thing I do is I put a big chisel in here just to hold the wheel cylinder against the axle flange, just so that it doesn't move. And now we can actually go ahead and put our brakes on. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is put on the primary shoe, just because there isn't very much that attaches to it. So it's a little easier to go ahead and put it on and get it out of the way for now. And it gives us a basis to build our brakes up off of. So putting it together is pretty straightforward, of course. Okay. Put our pin through the backing plate. Now I've heard them called pins, I've heard them called brake nails, heard them called shoe retainers. Heard them called a lot of different things. At the end of the day, they all serve the same function. Alright. Now I bought these pliers years ago, and these things are awesome. And I think they were only, when did I buy these? Probably 2015, 2016 maybe? Actually maybe earlier than that. At the time they were about 20 bucks. And when I tell you that I've used them a lot, oh boy have I ever used them a lot. Alright, so on this side there's a lot more crap on our shoes. So we have our shoe, but first thing we have to do is take, and that's our parking brake lever. So what we're going to do is take and assemble that like that. That way it's retained in there. We're going to take it, take our shoe, assemble it in the shoe. That gets us that far. Alright. The problem is there's a whole pile of stuff that has to go on the secondary shoe. Like the arm for the adjuster. It goes on here. Okay. Sometimes it's a fight. Okay, so next piece that goes on is the top spring. Comes across like that. I'm going to go ahead and put equalizer bar in here. And there's my tool. I'm going to grab it. I'm going to take and like that. It's not the most textbook way of doing it, but that's okay. This white spring goes in here. Actually, I'm going to leave it for a second because what we're going to do is we're going to put the spring in the other side first. You put it in the right hole helps. Okay. Like that. Okay. Now we can put the weight spring on. Like that. Make sure that's like that. Because down here at the bottom, we also have this spring that has to go in. It goes over top of that section like that. And then in here, like that. Now comes some of the fun part. Not really, but kind of. What we have to do is put in the equalizer. Which generally speaking is easier said than done. I apologize, I gotta move a little bit, so I'm probably gonna be in the way for a second. Okay, just like that. Now we can move to the bottom. Okay, so on the bottom we only have two more things to go on. We have the adjuster and the spring. So what we'll do is we will take and put our spring in first. That. We'll take our adjuster. slip it in there like that. Make sure our shoes are all the way in. Ideally prior to that happening. And what I do is I've always just used a pair of side cutters. I grab a hold of the spring, and I just bring the spring over, and I hook it like that. And it's our brakes done. We'll still have to adjust them once we get the drums on. And just like that, we have brakes on this side. Now the other thing I did is I ran all the park brake cables here. So this park brake cable here is a bugger to put on. I just have it looped there because it goes up through into the cab. But it comes through in the frame rail, into here, comes out to our equalizer, and then there's the short intermediate cable that goes here, and then you have these cable connectors. Now fortunately, I found out that General Motors actually still sells them, because mine were rusted to oblivion and beyond. So we were fortunate that way.